Hello, folks, and welcome back to another edition of Money in Motion, Monday to start the week. So, listen up. There's a lot of stuff we need to get talked about and go over. Monty, good morning. How are things?
Things are good. Things are good. And yeah, there is a lot to go over. Bitcoin is sliding pretty hard here to start the day, despite the fact that we had the NASDAQ open up, which is a bit unusual. So we'll talk about that. Um, Also, I just want to give a quick shout out to everyone in chat. What's up, Ryan? What is up? Sell me your assets. What's up, Keith? What's up, Bob? I hope everyone is doing well on this Monday morning. And we've talked about in the past, right, how Mondays can kind of be a day of reflection and perhaps that leads to some selling off. It'll be interesting to see if that's the case because we opened up this morning, but Bitcoin does not appear to be showing any correlation to the NASDAQ today, which is worth noting. So I think that's a decent starting point. If you don't mind me just pulling up the chart real quick, because we are moving here pretty quickly. This is the 15-minute chart for Bitcoin. And as you can see, this level right here was what we had defined as the critical level for BTC. It had bounced and wicked up below that level a few times. I think Nick talked about, a swing trade here that worked out pretty nicely, or a sweep here of the lows and then coming back up. But, since then, this looks very ugly from a 15-minute perspective. What I want to call your attention to is the volume. Note the volume in the last 15 minutes. That is a significant amount of volume. And what's more is, I think that the crypto market in general is very risk off today because we're seeing ETH down almost 1% more than Bitcoin. Look at this chart. I mean, this thing is, as we speak, dropping like a rock. Look at this. I mean, oh man, that thing is that's falling hard. But I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it because last week we talked about the possibility of this happening, right? And I think it will present a lot of opportunities when it comes to the crypto related equities. Because look at things like Mara getting absolutely hammered today. Same with things like Coinbase. Riot is another stock that I'll want exposure to eventually. So they're getting hammered today. And, I'm not quite sure why. Perhaps it's just the fact that Mondays have historically been the worst day for Bitcoin. Or there's something more to this sell-off, but we'll see if we can manage to maintain these levels. Because one last thing to point out, this is kind of where I would define the make or break level for BTC. We are approaching it right now. As you can see, anything up below basically 25.5 has been wicks. And we haven't spent more than 30 minutes below this level. So if we continue below this level today, then that might spell some trouble for the rest of the week. So that's where we're at with Bitcoin. Not looking the greatest, but if you are looking to short some altcoins or perhaps pick up some crypto related equities for the cheap, then you might get the chance later in the week. And that's kind of where I'm leaning. And I'll talk about that in a little bit, but I want to give it back to you, CJ, for your thoughts on the market and what you're seeing today.
Yeah, I mean, crypto is just a joke, to be honest with you, because this inverse correlation. I mean, the innovation in the field is frantic right now. That's like the peak of what's going on.
Yeah.
Very impressive stuff we're putting together. So that's great. Look, crypto, it's like if you're gonna play the 4-year cycle, there's probably gonna be one more scare, which we sell off 20%. Bitcoin goes to 21K or something, and yeah, everything drops like what we've seen in many pre-halving years when we get this one last scare. So yeah, I mean, it's honestly pathetic, and it looks like there's like capitulation kind of
Oh man.
occurring as we speak. So yeah, let me give me one sec, and then we'll go through the new COT data.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I was gonna just mention was like, if we surpass this volume bar here, then look out below, and you can see there's some pretty heavy sell pressure. This isn't just longs getting forced out. This is spot selling, um, without a doubt. And I think that's reflected from the volume. One thing I will check quickly while CJ is bringing that up. It's just USDC dominance. Look at that rising. Sorry, let me turn the volume up. That's shooting up. So people are clearly moving their money into stable coins at a pretty exorbitant rate here over the last. I didn't really notice this trend forming here in USDC dominance until we brought it up just now. But I mean, over the last week or so, or
I
basically,
think that's also a result of BUSD winding down. I
sure,
think you're
yeah,
getting a lot more stablecoin dominance in terms of like Tether and
yeah,
USDC.
yeah, and then also you had like back here you had the Visa news. Um, so I mean, this thing's grinding up, but I think that again, this is another indicator, almost like the DXY in the sense that it tells you that people aren't keeping their money in crypto right now. They're moving it into stable coins to deploy later. And I think that's a smart play, especially depending on what platform you're on, perhaps earning interest. But, right now you don't want to be speculating. And I think that's what the charts are telling you. But the time will come.
Yeah, I mean, look, crypto, like I'm just gonna buy it if we go into a panic sell here. It'll probably be very obvious when everybody's panicking. Obviously, it's harder to buy when that event actually does come. But I think if you watch the Bob Lucas video and his analysis at Bitcoin Live last week, that was very good. I completely agree. If you just kind of base Bitcoin and look at it from a historical perspective, it's likely going to follow either 2019 or 2020, and we're going to have some type of, I don't want to say remote event, risk events, but something that's going to scare us, whether it's from the equity market or whatever. But anyways, let's get into some data because we've got a lot to discuss. First, I just want to talk about this chart that's been going around and being shown across media a lot, having to do with seasonality. You can see this, right, Monte?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. The S&P versus seasonal patterns.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure I had the right tab up. But as you can see, everybody's betting on or looking for downward price action in September and October, and then a nice rally to end the year. Looks like a very comfortable setup. But, people were not looking at this chart at the beginning of the year. The only reason why people are bringing up the chart now is because it's worked the entire year. Now that everybody's looking at it and emphasizing this fact that we're going to go down in September and October and then rally into the year ends, I actually think we're going to do the opposite, where we continue to rally through September and October. Then, maybe we get a rate pause or something like that. That's when, a more broader sell-off may occur. So I don't know. Just looking at this chart, looking at the prominence that we've seen in social media, makes me want to go and do the opposite.
Yeah, understandable. Understandable. I mean, it's funny how that works, right? Like the chart only works if no one's looking at it. It's like the Schrodinger's cat of technical analysis. It's like as soon as everyone starts noticing the chart working, then it stops working because too many people hop onto the trade and it becomes overcrowded. So it's like you want to find the kind of under the radar metrics that not everyone's looking at. And I agree with you, CJ. Now that people have brought this to like the forefront of everyone's attention and the fact that the chart has been right so far this year in terms of seasonality, I think that we don't see what we typically see throughout the rest of the year based on the fact that everyone is expecting, that same seasonality pattern.
You got to remember the market is maybe not crypto in terms of its efficiency, but the markets in general are very effective discounting mechanisms. And so that seasonality that everyone is anticipating, in my opinion, is already discounted in the price.
That's a good point.
Okay. And that goes with a lot of fundamental metrics, you know. Okay, so something new I want to talk about today with this COT oscillator that we normally talk about. Usually we only look at commercials. However, this time we have a oscillator for large speculators and small speculators. So it makes it, you know, in terms of signal generation, even more clear. So starting with ES, you know, we're starting to come off a little bit from those crowded areas, but as you can see, retail and large speculators are still very long near that 12 point. Similar thing in NASDAQ, but you know, we're getting to very neutral levels. Dow is very neutral. When you look at the Russell, interestingly, the Russell is the one that is the most favorable in terms of a long because you have commercial longs all the way at 99 already. And then speculators, I mean, this has been their favorite index to short. And, you know, that kind of explains the recent underperformance. But as a result of this, this qualifies as like a COT long setup that I would be looking for. So if we close green today, I may have to consider longs according to the process within this particular asset. Nikkei still, you know, this is a really good example of a COT setup where, you know, you have really what you're looking for in the sense that retail and large speculators are on the same side, and there's a very large divergence between commercials and retail and large specs. So when we look at the chart and see, you know, what we've done in the past week, Monte's chimp trend line from last week. Let me adjust that a little bit.
It's working.
Yeah, I mean, so it's working so far. We'll see. We'll see. The thing that I've liked about the Nikkei weakness is that it has not rallied despite like positive price yeah, so we're still down. It hasn't rallied despite positive price action in the Nikkei and bearish price action in DX. So with that being said, you know, equities, the only thing that's really standing out to me is the Russell, but everything else is basically neutral. Let's go to the FX market because dollar, as you'll see here, there's been some short covering, but you still have smart money or commercials, you know, pretty long. And you know, you've seen retail have to cover a lot of shorts in the last couple of weeks, but they're still pretty short too. And you know, when you look at this in terms of like relative levels, commercials could get a lot longer, or you know, vice versa. So just important to point that out. However, we're starting to see a turnaround in a lot of these currencies. The one that I like and have taken a position on is Australian dollar, and the reason being is because we have that essentially a trading checklist where we have large specs and small specs shorting. The reason why they're so enthusiastic to short the Australian dollar is because there's been very weak economic data coming out of Australia, which leads their central bank to kind of be more dovish. Meanwhile, the US Fed continues to hike, so they expect the Australian dollar to go even lower. Additionally, Aussie dollar has very high correlation with the Chinese economy as well as New Zealand because that's where a lot of their exports and trade partnerships lie. And with the China reopening weakness, you know, people are just opening up these massive bets to short the Australian dollar because they think that's going to, you know, hurt Australia as well. So Australian dollar and New Zealand dollar are very nice. And when you look at the positioning just over the past couple weeks, it's pretty extreme. So you know, since we closed green yesterday, last night I took longs in both of these, and you know, we'll see how things play out with the DXY throughout the rest of the week. Cotton has been another setup. You can see it's very clear in terms of the COT positioning with retail specs getting really long. Now, this one you got to be careful with though, because when you look at relative levels, specs aren't really that long compared to historic levels during like massive cotton bull markets. So if this is the start of a bull market in cotton, then you know you could get your head ripped off. So it's always important to just, even though the positioning has been pretty nice, you know, could always rip to the upside quite hard. Short term for me, that's about it. However, that South Korean company CPNG, where is it? Hang on. Still doing pretty well, or I guess it was to start the day. So maintaining that linear upward sloping trend line.
Can I
But that's
toss
what I'm
a
looking at.
can I toss a ticker to you that we have a request for analysis? Tesla. I'm not sure if you've seen the price action of this one today, but whew, what do you make of it?
Do we have any news, or is it just
Not that I'm aware of.
here? You know what? I'm curious about something. Pivot on another chart. I want to look at the equity put call ratio for Tesla because I what I'm guessing is that a ton of shorts were trying to short this level right here and now are likely stopped out since we've run the highs.
Yeah,
I'll go look at
it looks like there were a lot of shorts in Tesla, Meta, Alibaba, and Qualcomm, all of which are performing very well today. So perhaps it
yeah.
is a short squeeze in those assets, but that isn't a big move up to the upside. What are your thoughts on it and where it may go from here?
Well, I mean, as I said, I kind of, with the exception of Bitcoin, I think that September has the potential to be a bullish month or end as a bullish month because of like that seasonality pattern that we've talked about and kind of the inverse of it happening. But let me, sorry, I'm a little sidetracked. I'm opening up some other charts that can show equity put call ratios because I'm very curious about what Tesla has been doing. All right, here we go. Sorry for the delay. All right, so these are all equity put call ratios for various assets. Let's look at Tesla. Yeah, I mean nothing that major. We did get a little bit of a spike to the moving average, um, but nothing too extreme. You know, nothing like what we saw back in May or even at the recent local low in August.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to note that if we go back to this chart, we did have a potential bottom signal in the equity put call ratio when it spiked above 1.2 for the second time. We got a bottom right there, and then we got today our local bottom most recently after this spike. So people are afraid, people are afraid. They're buying insurance at least. They're thinking about potentially the you know, bad things.
As they should be. As they should be. Um, I didn't even realize I was doing this with my hands. That is the Monty Burns evil hand sign. But in terms of Tesla, I think this can keep going today. You know, eventually I do think it will, come back down and refill this gap. But really, I mean, in terms of like, oh man, it's tough to say with the Nasdaq pulling back like this after what looked like it was going to be a promising morning. Let's check the 15-minute chart. Okay, so we've come back down a little bit and starting to push back up. I think if we break above this level here, like I mentioned earlier, that level had been highly critical. If we get above this level, we could see some more risk on price action in those equities, including Tesla. But one thing that I am keeping my eye on very closely here is the crypto related equities. Let me go back to the daily chart because they have.
Is Mara down more than Solana in the past 2 weeks?
I
That would be quite a statistic.
I believe it. I mean, let's see. I'm pretty sure it is.
I mean, you don't. All right, yeah, we can go through it.
I mean,
Can you go on a higher time frame? I think it. Yeah, like from the
yeah, it
top,
is.
probably.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's down
That's
about
impressive.
four times as much,
That's
or three
impressive.
times as much. Excuse me. Well, but that's that tells you everything you need to know about the crypto related equities, right? And CJ, like, it was funny because it started as a joke. Like we were calling these the crypto related equities. We're calling them.
It was never a joke. Yeah, you thought it was a joke. I was dead serious the entire time.
Well, okay, yeah. I mean, I still kind of see it as a joke because it's like when I think of the crypto related equities are altcoins. That's what they are. They're altcoins, and you wouldn't expect that sort of behavior from something that's publicly traded because you have this idea in your head that, oh, crypto traders are degenerates. They're not as well versed in trading as the people that are trading equities. Clearly, that's not the case because just look at Mara's chart, or look at things like Riot, and these are stocks that have retraced everything since that ETF news and more. Um, and like just looking at these charts, like I think there's going to be some tremendous opportunity here in the coming weeks. So I'm definitely not buying it today. Today is a day risk off. Um, and like to the point of UIC now, right? ApeCoin down 8.5%. Um, that's like the highest beta of altcoins, right? That's like the most risk on bastion you could ask for. So that tells you everything you need to know about the state of the market today. It is very risk off. We're seeing that reflected in not only the altcoins, but also the altcoins of the stock market, which CJ not so jokingly refers to as the crypto related equities. So the thing is like I'm gonna be looking to buy these because I think that they'll move up just as fast as they move down. And if there's no clear narrative emerging around what's going to be the next wave of innovation in terms of like, you know, clearly 2021 was about layer ones, right? You could put your money in AVAX or Solana and basically just watch it go up until it didn't. But I think that this time around, these companies like Riot and Mara, those that are publicly tradable, will be some of the best performing assets in all of the crypto space because of their accessibility to funds, because of their accessibility to, those that have the money, which is the older demographic, and ultimately the fact that they've retraced significantly from their all-time highs. So I think we could see some significant velocity there. Of course, I'm not buying today. They are still dropping alongside Bitcoin. But if we do start to reverse and get that, bullish engulfing candle, I'm definitely going to be looking to take a shot to the upside on the crypto related equities.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Honestly, it's like it's become a two variable trade where it's like not only if you're going to long crypto equities, not only do you have to be right about the equity market going up, but you also have to be right about crypto going up, which is not a guarantee.
Right.
Based on how things are ended now. I think we get one more scare this year. Really good buying opportunity. So I got some dry powder if we get that.
So Keith is dropping some news in the chat for us here. Appreciate it. Tesla stock is rising in the pre-market, trading on an optimistic new report about the automaker's Dojo supercomputer coming from Morgan Stanley. That sounds like a bunch of mumbo jumbo that gets people hyped up and turns out to be nothing. Dojo supercomputer.
It sounds pretty like a big deal to me. Very impactful.
That's the whole point. It's supposed to, and then it does nothing. It changes absolutely nothing.
But that doesn't matter. It's all about the sales pitch, right?
Oh yeah, no, you're right.
You don't
You're
sell the steak, you sell the sizzle. All right. Last thing, go over here. Well, it was bouncing back. We'll see. We'll see ultimately where this closes. But yeah, I think it's interesting to see. Do we see Russell leading? Yeah, Russell's leading.
Yeah, that's
So indicative of the short squeeze somewhat playing out or could play out. We'll see.
right. And it's always important to remember, like, just because today is a down day doesn't mean there's not valuable information to be gained. Um, the fact that the IWM is holding up as well as it is today amidst such risk off price action tells me that we may see it outperform on the way up, because of the fact that it didn't really sell off too much, during this sell off. So
Yeah, the
looks
thing
like
is, like, everyone's been uh like the Magnificent Seven has been holding up the market. So everyone assumes if that goes down, like the just short play is IWM to short all these failing small companies if we do go into recession, which is a logical bet, which makes sense of why so many people are in it. But if it doesn't work, it's the risk to reward to the upside is probably going to be really, really nice over the month of, or it could be nice over the month of September and October. And then maybe we get a short signal into year end, or yeah, it's precarious. Not a lot of edge in equities right now because the positioning is so neutral across the board.
you
But
know my
Russell, we'll see. Not looking
yeah,
bad to start the day here.
yeah. You know what might be interesting is being a little bit patient here. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, CJ, but September, have we ever had a green September in Bitcoin? Ever?
I don't know. I mean, I imagine, yeah.
I
But
think
it is negative most of the time, to your point,
okay, yeah. Um
as are equity markets.
yeah, yeah. So, like, one thing that might be interesting is, and we saw this in 2020 as well, not to the same extent. We didn't see really a pullback, but we saw a ramping up of price action towards the end of 2020, around October, right at the end of September, beginning of October, we started to see price action ramp up. That's when you had PTJ talking about buying Bitcoin, and things really picked up from there, and we went up to the 60K level. I think it could be an interesting bet on some of these crypto related equities. Wait until the end of September. I know that might sound like torturous, like, oh wow, that's like I gotta wait 20 days. Are you kidding me? Uh,
Don't tell the audience to do anything. Say I'm going to wait 30 days and that's your plan. This is no financial advice.
okay, thanks, lawyer CJ. Not sure why that was necessary, but you know, yeah, we've had one or two green Septembers. I don't think this one will be one based on what we've seen so far. Um, and me personally, I am sitting in US dollars and USDC, and I do still have some Bitcoin and ETH, but that's just, the HODL stack that I never sell. But one thing that could be an interesting play that I am making is waiting until the end of September and then looking to buy calls on the crypto related equities that expire at the end of October, because we have seen October be a very strong performing month for the crypto related equities. So that is the approach that I will be taking.
All right. Well, hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Don't forget to get a free trial at tradethechain.com. Come hang out in the Discord, see all of our members, and talk various trade insights with Monte and I. Also, we have a variety of crypto sentiment indicators that you guys can try with that membership as well. So we appreciate that very much. And don't forget to like and subscribe the content today. It's a great way to support the channel. But overall, thanks. Hope you guys have a good and profitable week. And we'll see you here back same time tomorrow. Take care.